to lead his people into the land of freedom. He is the Redeemer. He has labored, he has suffered to lead his people into the land of freedom. Into the land of freedom. He is the Redeemer. He has labored, he has suffered to lead his people into the land of freedom. He is the Redeemer. He has labored, he has suffered to lead his people into the land of freedom. He is the Redeemer.
And we welcome the guests to the placement of this item. This afternoon, we read the top leadership of organized labor. My brother and myself met with the workers' representatives and the board of trustees of SNNIT. The purpose was to receive some briefing on the proposed sale of 60% of SNNIT's interest in some hotels.
He has labored, he has suffered to lead his people into the land of...
Good morning to you, and thank you very much for choosing Pan-African Television. Of course, we are on your digital channels. We are on Facebook, Pan-African Television, YouTube, Pan-African Television. You'll be able to watch us live on both platforms. We're also live on radio, on Radio Gold, and we're bringing you to the mother of all talk shows today. Today has been a raining day here in Accra, and I don't know whether sympathies is the best word to use, but coming here myself, I know that no matter what the situation in your particular community is, if you have to move around Accra this morning, you would have difficulties. So it's difficult knowing who to direct the concerns to, because over the past week there has been, I think this is the second rain we've had this week, and in both situations we had heavy flooding, and already there is heavy flooding on major roads in Accra. So be very cautious on which road you are. If you're a driver, drive cautiously. Always ensure you protect your life first. It's important. Know where you're going to. Where you're going to is important, but your life is much more important. Well, today we'll start our discussion from a press conference that was held by the minority. It's not a new issue. It's something that has been alleged since I think about 2018 thereabout. The allegation of secret recruitments into security services. These recruitments are not advertised for the Ghanaian who is interested to apply, go through a merit process, and if they qualify, they are recruited into the service. The minority says this time around, what has been done is for every parliamentary candidate of the MPP to be offered 30 slots into the security agency. So find 30 people who want to enter into the security agency if you're a parliamentary candidate. So 276. Do the numbers. The Interior Minister has not denied this. What he said, he says, okay, first he says they are not recruiting party people for party jobs. But he then says what they are doing is clearing backlogs. Not a new defense. So we'll be talking about this issue, the implications. We've spoken about it in the past. Should we be worried about it going into the elections? We'll be talking about that. Then we'll move on to another issue which started on the Facebook page of Samuel Okudzeto Ablakwa, like all his exposés have. And by the 7th day, he had petition Shraj on the matter. It has to do with SNNIT moves to sell 60%, that's majority stake, in 4 of their major hotels to Rock City. It started with 6, they said they've reduced it to 4. SNNIT says they follow due process. Honorable Okudzeto Ablakwa is not convinced, and organized labor has called on SNNIT to stop. That it is not government money, it is workers' money. And the workers of Ghana says, no, you cannot go ahead. We'll address that issue in our second topic. Then we'll conclude with the arrest of Hopeson Adorye. He went there on the invitation of the police. Well, by the time he knew he was arrested, yesterday he told me the charge is false publication. Well, we'll discuss that to conclude our show this morning. It's the matter of all talk shows, Alhaji and Alhaji. Of course, your comments are important. Do share your comments with us. If you're listening to us, the number is 055-991-9802. And I'll read your comments. You can also share your comments on Facebook and YouTube when you are watching. We have to start the discussion with the secret recruitment into the security services and the slots being given to the NDC the MPP parliamentary candidates. And I'll start from my right with lawyer Apia Dankwa. Now, lawyer Apia Dankwa is one of our 3 panel members for today. We're supposed to have lawyer Partisan join us. She's a member of the NDC communication team. She has indicated she's unable to join us this morning because of heavy flooding where she is. Alasan Suhini, member of parliament for Tamale North, will also join us. And of course, Comrade Kwesi Pratt is already in studio with us. And that will be our 3-member panel for today. And so we'll start a discussion with secret recruitment into the security services with lawyer Apia Dankwa. Lawyer, who is from the Movement of Change?
Yeah, Movement for Change and Alliance for Revolutionary Change. I love the name, Revolutionary Change. Because we know revolution means radical change, and change itself. So it tells you the extent to which we believe we need change. So let me take this opportunity to wish you a lovely morning. It's always a pleasure to be on your show. So wish my own uncle, Uncle Kwesi Pratt, a good morning. Hopefully we can have a very fruitful discussion, all in service to our country. Permit me to once again start this discussion by going into our constitution. I think sometimes when you situate things in the constitution, then you make an analysis of why we took that kind of constitution, or we chose for ourselves the constitutional democratic system of governance and what the purpose is. So once again, in 1992, the people of Ghana chose upon themselves the system of governance, the constitutional system of governance, the focus of which is to secure our liberties, protect our rights to our properties, protect our lives, and create a system where we can all pursue our individual happiness. Now, to achieve that, we took upon ourselves this constitution and created certain institutions whose focus was to ensure that this end would be met or guaranteed. Now, one of the most critical institutions in creating a system whose focus is to protect our lives, our properties, is the police force. You understand? Is the police force or the security agency. So the police, the military, what's it called, SEPs, immigration, because their focus is to create a stable system where crime will be reduced. One, the territorial, because when you talk about the military, the territorial integrity of this country will be guaranteed, where the peace within the country and stability within the country, all for the purposes of creating that environment where we can have the best chance of fulfilling the promise of the system we took upon ourselves. Now, I also recognize that to give us the best chance of of guaranteeing all these. We also talk about ourselves, or the constitution creates a situation where multi-party democracy will be practiced, because I recognize that they felt that we could best achieve all these ends if we create the right political culture. Now the issue is, to what extent, or before I even go there, so then when the constitution gave us or guaranteed us the right to have parties, we recognize that sometimes partisanship can help in forging the right political culture. And the essence of partisanship is premised on the fact that largely we have different views. And these different views can better find its place in parties. You understand? In groups, in an association of like-minded people to advance arguments, to advance debates, to create a culture that allows or even encourages peaceful disagreements, understand, and also creating or holding people who are leaders accountable. But the question is, to what extent should we take these partisan considerations, especially in a country where we practically run a system which is winner take all. So, as in the way we've done things over the past 32 years, especially over the last 16 years, it's like there are two Ghana. It's like we have two Ghana. So if there's the two major actors, partisan actors in Ghana, being the NPP and the NDC, where they win power, then largely only members of their fraternity are going to more or less benefit from governance, especially in terms of jobs, the economy, and all. Now we've failed to create a thriving economic system, so we are unable to create jobs. So directly, there's so much pressure. Well, we've created a situation where there's so much pressure on our politicians, and instead of they using the power we've granted them to create a system where we'll have jobs and a system that will be based on merit, rather we've seen them, or we've seen a creeping influx of partisan consideration into all spheres of our society, which for me is really, really dangerous. It's really, really dangerous. Yeah, you understand? So right now you have a situation in Ghana where in the police, and these statements I'm making are based on evidence, especially the Bugri Nabu issue. So we have a situation where in the Ghana police and in all those, we have NPP policemen and we have NDC policemen. Because, or even before this issue came up, if you followed intently the NPP primaries, parliamentary primaries, one of the key issues during their primaries was the promise of their parliamentary candidates to offer slots to their party people. I don't understand if you follow the NPP primaries intently. And so when you listen to the MPs, when you listen to people who wanted to be MPs, one of their messages to the polling station executives was a promise that when they make them MPs, they were going to give give them slots into these are security agencies. So in essence, whether or not you would be employed in any of these security agencies will be better enhanced if you are a card-bearing member of these political parties. So it means that also what it means is that then the recruitment into these agencies will not be based on merit. It will not be based on any special skill you have. Your recruitment into these institutions will be based on which party you belong to. When the interior minister spoke, when they made those allegations about each MP being given 30 slots.
Parliamentary candidate.
Parliamentary, the MPs or candidates?
The candidates.
So now they are candidates now. Was it just the MPP candidates or for?
The MPP candidates.
So the 130 7 MPP candidates have all been given 30 slots.
To the 276 candidates they have
across the constituency.
Yeah.
30 slots each.
Yeah.
You understand? See, so it boils down to the same issue we've been raising here about the lack of leadership. And in fact, this lack of leadership issue finds place in almost all the topics we are going to discuss today, even in the SNNIT. So that when you are a leader, we make you a leader, and then it is your duty to, one, protect the territorial integrity of this country. It's your duty to ensure that there is peace, law, and order. You understand? Because that's why we give you the executive powers. So there are 3 powers. We give the president the executive powers for a purpose, so that he uses that executive power. The president, uses that executive power in all shapes and forms to ensure that we create a system where our liberties, our properties, our lives are better protected. Now, over the past few years, last time when I came here, we spoke about the legacy of Nanado. And one of the non-legacies was the breakdown in law and order in this country. Just 2 days ago, the issue, this same issue cropped up again. So right now we have a police force, largely. We have a police force who are being remote controlled, largely, are being remote controlled by government. Because there have been so many instances where either crimes have been perpetrated or attempted crime have been perpetrated, and where those crimes or attempted crimes are being perpetrated by people in government, the police does nothing. You understand? There have been instances where people have been arrested, and then the police themselves do not give you any reasonable grounds for the arrest, and then they tell you that it is order from above, like happened in Hopeson Adorye's case. I have also had experience of a situation where somebody's property in Ghana has been taken over by charlatans who have political connection within the MPP. You understand? There's a property in Westlands, which was the subject matter of a court case. Matter has been resolved in favor of somebody. There is no stay of execution, or an application, various applications for stays of execution have been denied, and yet the party who took the matter to court and lost, who had applied for stay of executions and lost, is in full control of the property. Reports have been made to the police, and the police have not lifted a finger, only because the guy's party is in power, so the police wouldn't act. We saw issues that happened around 2018 when during the what's it called, the Ayawaso West Wagon by elections. You understand? Where brutalities were meted out by people who are supposed to be in the security agencies. It is a clear symptom of the non-leadership or lack of leadership that we've had in this country, especially during Nanado's regime. You understand? Because to think that in an institution as important as our security agencies, so the police, recruitment into same will be premised only on the basis of your party affiliation. Because I've said, we keep on saying this, that when you become a leader in this country, when you become a leader, whether you're a president, whether you are an MP, whether you are CEO, whatever position you are holding, the focus of that position is to serve the entire people, the entirety of Ghanaians, not just your political party members. So when we have a situation where the active players in our political space will not be more than 1 million. I can tell you, if we should do a census right now, the active players, both in MPP and NDC, in our political space, won't be more than 1 million. And yet, our leadership has been so depraved to the extent that people we've granted leadership Because when you are president of Ghana, you are not leader of your party. You are leader of Ghana. You understand? And that obligation, that burden on you must reflect in how everything is done. And thus, for us to better achieve the promise of the system, then there's a need to enlarging most of the sectors, especially, I mentioned the security agencies, but the same burden lies on them in terms of how places like the EC, places like the judiciary, you understand? Because we cannot have a perception that within our police force, you understand, within our police service, within the immigration, within SEPS, within the military, security agencies who are supposed to serve Ghana, we have MPP policemen and we have NDC policemen. Indeed, I want to extend this issue way beyond the security agencies. But we've created a situation in this country where we Ghanaians or leadership in this country having failed to create a business environment where private sector itself is able to generate contracts. Because when you go to the advanced countries, I can bet you about 80% of all the contracts in the system are private sector generated. In this country, more than 90% of the contracts are public sector generated contracts. Private sector don't generate big contracts. Apart from the contract between the taxi driver and the passenger, the truck driver and the passenger, the contract between the food vendor and more than 90% of all the solid contracts in this country are public sector led contracts. And if we are going to be honest, people who have access to these contracts are just the actors, the small actors within the MPP NDC space. And even then, if MPP comes to power, then only MPP members are likely to be considered for these contracts. Yeah, understand. Now, beyond that, even within the MPP, unless you belong to some inner caucus. And so what is happening, and that's why you have a situation where the president can confidently say that, go and say that, I did not bring development to the area because you did not vote for my party. So when, let's say, an MPP-sponsored president candidate becomes president of Ghana, then the impression is that he's come just for the MPP people. So this problem, it doesn't only exist in the security agencies, but in all aspects of our life as Ghanaians. Because we have an issue where non-MPP people have even been appointed into the EC. You understand? You talk about state lands. What happens is that immediately they come to power, then they start sharing state land cantonments, the primaries. They start sharing amongst party apparatchiks. You go to the what's called GMPC tour. You understand? And there again, recruitment is not based on merit, but they only employ party apparatchiks. And that's why Samuel can have the confidence to go and sit on air and tell his party people that take your time. You understand? Right now, I'm CEO of what's it called? And as we are sharing the national cake, which so far as they are concerned, is just for their party people. You also, so you to your time will then will come. What kind of system are we creating? What kind of country are we creating? You understand? What kind of country are we creating? So that Ghana right now, in terms of the benefits that we are all supposed to get from this country, is just being given to the political actors. To extend that our natural resources, the key per Professor Frimpong Boateng's report, and also per our own personal experience and knowledge within the system. The chief architects of Galamsey are the politicians themselves, people who are in an industry whose focus is to create a better Ghana. You understand? They in how they are acting and handling that leadership are creating a culture and a system which is destroying the country. So we are failing to create a system which is based on merit. So right now, the most lucrative job for our young graduates is to want to do politics, because they think that when they enter into politics, understand, then they have the best chance of amassing wealth, whether or not they have the know-how or whether they merit it. That's the system we are creating. You understand? You go and take the Chapadia book, and forgive, I know it's the second discussion, but government properties are being sold cheaply to people in public office, and they do not have any issue. People who have put themselves up for public service, who are supposed to be guided by a high ethical standard, have no qualms. So the issue, the real issue about this secret recruitment, you understand, is the lack of a deep sense of duty to public leadership. That is reducing, or that threatens to reduce this constitutional democracy we have to a kakistocracy. And when I say kakistocracy here, what I mean is that a government system or governance by the least in society. So when we say least, it's not about education. It's not about formal education. Let me put that, because in this country, I'm very convinced now that we have a lot of very educated, uneducated people. So you have people who are not bounded by any ethics. You have people who are not bounded by a deep sense of duty. You have people who are not bounded by even consequence, the sense of consequence. The fact that, listen, when I behave in this way, there can be consequence. You go to all this, to England, and you know about the glorious revolution. So in some jurisdictions, they behave properly because of their bloody past. You understand? So you go to England and talk about the glorious revolution, where their King Charles, was beheaded. When you study sociology, the starting point is always the French Revolution. You understand? But we've managed to create a system where people in leadership, first of all, I always say this, they want the power, but they don't want to lead. Because leadership is serious business. Leadership is serious business. See, we keep on talking about it, so our sister couldn't come because of flooding. But really, where we're being given proper leadership, then infrastructure, the production of infrastructure would have been a matter of course. But when I talk about real leadership, it's about leadership that uplifts the culture of the people in terms of their value set, in terms of their principle, in terms of their commitment and desire to pursue excellence. A system that is based on merit. That's how you get the best of your society. But all these ideals are undermined when we reduce benefits of this constitutional democracy to your partisan affiliation. And that's what this secret recruitment, this 30 slots to the MPs, this what's called distribution of slots to MPs, like distribution of Chocomilo, of biscuits, I'm watching, or Calipo. The impact, beyond weakening our security agencies, beyond undermining our chances of being protected, beyond undermining our chances of getting real justice, what it does is that it breaks the value set of the people of this country. It perpetrates mediocrity as against excellence. Because right now, I bet you, you go to, I remember last 2 years, I went to take for a TESCOM program, and I want to make, because TESCOM began in 1999, as in when we started tech, and we knew how the purpose for why TESCOM was formed. I happened to go to a TESCOM program with my brother Solo, I think 2 years ago or 3 years ago, and it was a full-blown rally. We couldn't believe it, because when you interview the TESCOM guys, for them, the assurance bet of being assured of jobs is not because of merit or because they have something critical to give, but it's only because they are TESCOM members, and that's why they go and join. So most of the students, instead of getting proper education that impacts your head, your heart, and your hand, their focus is just to enter TESCOM, because they know that by reason of they holding a party card, then they will be given positions for which they may not even be ready. So, listen, everything that is happening there, the fact that right now Ghana is just for about the few people, the few political actors. So you have a situation where, so MPP, they are in power, so everything is, as in, they have access to state lands, they have access to cheap employment, public sector employment. They are doing galamsey, and the president is not saying anything, even though he's supposed to be a trust. This dollar, what's called the CD, could be one of the key factors is how galamsey has destroyed cocoa. Why are the secret agencies? Why are they not arresting people? Why are they not arresting people undertaking galamsey? But they don't arrest them because they are party people. Bugri Nabu told us. So within the we have MPP policemen. So when you talk to the older people, I'm sure Uncle Chris will give credence to this. See, when in Kumasi, when UP CBP happened, so within CBP they had CBP policemen and they had UP policemen. So when they went on their what's called criminal activities, they have CBP policemen who come and bail them out. You understand? Particularly in Kumasi. But we can forgive that because that was the inception of our country and of democracy in this country. But in 2024, or under the watch of Nanado, all these ills, negative of our system, you understand, for which we thought Nanado was going to change when we voted for him in 2016, he's even dipping them further. He's dipping them further, undermining the focus and purpose for which we took upon ourselves the system of governance. Now, it is this reason why we say we want change, and we want a revolutionary change. That's not because we want it, we desperately need to create a system, a society that's based on merit. We need to create a society where partisanship can find itself in its proper place. Because one of the fundamental jobs of partisanship and of parties is to aid in creating the right political culture that can better protect our democracy. They are not doing that. What rather they are using the partisanship to do is to weaken all institutions of state, is to weaken the faith the people of Ghana have in the ability of this system of governance to deliver for them its promise. You understand? And I think it is the obligation of all of us as Ghanaians to fight and defend the integrity of our state, to fight and defend the purpose for which we took upon ourselves this system of governance, to fight and defend the constitution of this country. When I say to fight and defend the constitution of this country, I mean the purpose, the aim of the constitution of this country. And we can fight that if beyond going to vote for change, we sound a loud signal, we speak, we oppose the evil that this leadership, the current leadership, is meting out to us. Create a system that divides us. Create a system where your chances of fulfilling your potential depends on the party you belong to, not on your merit. But we can also further this battle when in 2024 we vote for Alan John Kojo Chairman. Because you see, we need leadership that is not fueled by an overbearing love for the party. Because over the past 8 years, if there's one evil that has been done to us, is to make us believe that even your society, that the president's obligation towards you can only be fulfilled if the society, your community, is seen to support his party. And that support can be seen in the party of the MP you voted for. But we desperately need leadership that will change that. That will make Ghanaians believe that you will have development only because you are a Ghanaian. That you have a chance of fulfilling your potential because you are a Ghanaian. That will create a Ghana where your excellence, your sense of excellence, your pursuit of excellence can best get reward. And that reward wouldn't just be given to you on reason only of the party you belong to. You understand? It is for all these reasons why we need change. And the only person I've heard, leadership I've heard, whose core program is premised on the deliberate creation of a country of national unity, where your party coloring won't matter to to him, where your tribe won't matter to him, where your religion won't matter to him. But where all that matters is your commitment towards forging that Ghana that Andan Nkrumah was the black star of Africa. That Ghana that was roused from sleep on 6th March 1957. But that Ghana that has been plunged into a deep slumber by the misleadership or non-leadership of Nana Akufo-Addo. We need change. We need change from all aspects, not just the economy, but we need change that will create a culture in this country that has value for principle. We need change that will create a system in this country where we demand from our leaders proper accountability. We need change that will create a country where people in public office will understand that they are there only to serve, and that certain things shouldn't even be mentioned about them. We need change where people in public office have attempted to buy public property. They won't have the balls, the cockroach audacity, the cojones to defend it, and that they will honorably resign because then they've breached the purpose, the focus, the oath they took. It is these reasons, beyond the great transformational plan, a restoration of the ethics of leadership, of the purpose of leadership. It is for these reasons why we need change and why we need Honorable Alan John Kojo Chemantin to lead. But beyond that, I'll call on Ghanaians that we are sleeping. Our country is being destroyed under our watch. We should not be the generation that sat down and allowed Ghana to be pushed down into the deep slumber of depravity of leadership. We shouldn't be that generation. You understand? You see, democracy isn't just about you 4 years just going to vote to share your opinion. That isn't democracy. Otherwise, the Constitution will not ask us to defend the Constitution. You understand? And we can start the process of holding them accountable by rising up from the aloof position we have taken and speaking, whether it's on social media, whether it's in conversations you have in your offices, you understand, whether it's through political activism. The point is that we have an obligation to this country to let the people in leadership know that we are vehemently opposed and ready to defend the integrity of this country against this misrule they are giving us. And we need to start now, because once we start that conversation in any form and shape, then we would have created the platform for real change to happen. And that real change will happen when we have the courage and the confidence to hold our leadership accountable. Thank you.
Lawyer, thank you. Thank you very much. If you just join us, we're talking about the minorities allegation. The minority says, currently, if you're a parliamentary candidate of the NPP, you have 30 slots within the security agencies. Find some 30 people who want to join the security agencies. Bring them. We'll place them accordingly. The Minister for the Interior says they are doing clearance of backlogs. Now, Joe Ajago asked a very interesting question. He says, Senator and the panelists, good morning. On the recruitment, does it mean those who applied between 2017 up to 2019, thereabout, are they still qualified or eligible for recruitment? Because what I know is for general recruitment, the required age group is 18 to 25 years. Now, it's been almost 8 years down the lane. So why are they telling Ghanaians that they are clearing the backlogs? When will this very administration tell Ghanaians the truth? Always lying on very important issues that affects Ghana. God save us. Watching us live from the USA. In fact, I'll go to Honorable Suhini soon. But lawyer also said that actually these were promises made during the MPP primaries. Yeah. That will happen.
Oh, so during the MPP primary, if you followed the MPs across, they were promising that people slots. They come to listen, I'll give you also maybe a police station chairman, I'll give you 3 slots. Yeah, it was. I'm saying anybody can take me on. Anybody who thinks that what I'm saying isn't right can take me on. You understand? But during the MPP parliamentary elections, if you followed it intently, candidates were going around. One of the biggest promises they made wasn't that they were going to give proper oversight on the executive. And the people won't be interested. So they come to you and say, well, one can give you slots, 2 slots, you will give you 3 slots. Or that was what they were saying.
I asked that because we have an interview that was done a few months ago by the chairperson of the NDC, of the MPP in Tamale South, talking about the same issue. It's in Dagbani and Oboswini. I understand you are aware of this particular interview. Okay, so we'll share it. Yes, we'll share it with you. It's in Dagbani. We'll share it with you. Then it will be the 10 of Oboswini.
Fire service, no now yara, ne part of the fire service can zanker kunanya. Dina Membiani, Chiana Babiani, now says one Malabiani. There's only yara to a show Gafar. I woman,
and woman chama.
No one yara Shamyala, but I still have one chance to come 2 slots.
Okay.
Fire service 2 slots.
To.
22 slots, Maka. Executive smart, executive smart. Can on secretary. Obi o bolela bima bolela bima letiji. Kora kana tiyama chairman. Nyam bima na bo fire service na ta pashere.
To.
Lezo kan bo na yara na nya benti to 2 slots cham. Kan bo na asoma nzan ayin tama kan timbiba.
Okay.
Yamale kan da zan ayin ma ti secretary, consensus secretary.
Okay.
Mal evidence. Benti la 2 slots ma. Kachana samba. Ko yi za yini. Awumne yeto awu.
Da chama.
Ko yi za yini ka yelma. Me o yi la za yini, o me yi la za yini ma no zan la ti consensus. Kayelo bole de to na ka so kam to yina kabti so kam 2 slots nkonko dinwo ka le pima be so kam din ka pi wonya no on bor shambal wotma betula de bai amo population no ti consensus to onko to bang la di mamba mi won zan na ti so
I see.
Ne tiem bang no ozal me ti so ka yama na be la consensus nyala organizer bi ni cha fire service ma anyo 2 slots sekene kebetele ni yele shelngoma di men kabra tila de bata consensus ma bi na dune kam won yim na ta ban ban sha de nan sham anyo de ba ma de ba barge kan bo so kana ti yelba ama ko to ban organizer ma den to non ko bi chama chama samba be yelma ami ne die ba ma anzo na ti a organizer.
Okay.
No ko zan to biya har ne so on ba ban da shere bi zan e to shere yin bo am chama samba won yela ni yela shere mu.
Okay.
To yen yela le to shere bi nan kare nan kan yimi gafaru ade patu wa pure sabe ti 2 slots kama kan dare borda kabanya kama kan ni ye kama anjan zan timma.
Yes.
Kan zan ti executive kaka ti yel gafaru ni sura me no me anyan na shamtama bin wasa ayine ndi bora dubai nin zan solve problem shana ka tuma chance nin chamtin ye amen bande office ma ya kasa biya nin yel mu zan dubai tuma kan ka ti yero ko ye ne dubai kane za yinin biya ko zan za yin tuma kan ba man da halal bi ko biya kan zan bil ma tin da halal bi ma conscience bin yere conscience bin yere kemiya tele kemiya cham red no cham tele original and national kabli yini gbara na halka panel lo shel pon bratila 2 slots be betila debata.
Okay. So chairman I try ngo wo hormene 2 slots ma kabrati ka chairman samba P1.
Chairman samba yisa yini.
Okay. So I
personal secretary.
That's right. So Abibe fire service amanyinda bole dabam kabanda to slot shell man.
Manda la Abibe fire service mamim bompani.
Okay. Okay. So ara check
personal use.
This is the chairman of Tamale South constituency for the New Patriotic Party speaking to an interview on radio. There's one thing I understand. 2 slots I know. 2 slots I know. And I heard Samba's name. I know Chairman Samba. And of course, I also heard Fire Service, Ghana Police Service. Honorable Suwini, what was he saying?
Good morning, Senna. Good morning to our viewers, and good morning to Uncle Kwesi and Dankwa. Dankwa Pia Dankwa.
Pia Dankwa close to Radio Gold.
Oh, okay.
Yes,
okay. That's the family. Yes. Good to know. All right. And good morning to the very good people of the Tamale North constituency. Senna, maybe I should do the translation first. So that was the Tamale South New Patriotic Party constituency chairman speaking to Abdel Gafaro on Diamond FM in Tamale a few months ago. The basis of this interview was that he was accused of allocating slots for fire service that the party has given to himself and his family members.
Okay.
And so he had to clear his name. And in the interview, he talks first, it's a long interview, he talks first about how they were given 1 slot for army. And how that was given to, someone in the party. But this part that you played is on fire service. And he says that the party gave every constituency across the country 2 slots for fire service. Every constituency had 2 slots. And that the regional chairman of the party, Northern Region, Samba, called him and in allocating the 2 slots to his constituency, told him he wanted 1 of the slots to give to somebody in his constituency. So he was the one to determine who in Tamale South will benefit from that one. And so that he yielded to that proposal, even though he wanted to find out if it was only Tamale South slots he wanted to treat that way or the whole country. But he didn't go further into that one. And that he took the 1 slot and gave the 1 slot to his constituency secretary's son, because the constituency secretary had come to him to complain about how the son had struggled for fire service without success. So he gave that 1 slot to the constituency secretary's son. And that the other slot Samba took. Later, he found out that the constituency organizer's son had also gone for the fire service. So his assumption is that the slot Samba took was given to the constituency organizer's son. Okay. But his own son is also in the fire service. But that allocation, according to him, did not come from the 2 slots that the party gave each constituency, because he decided that as a leader, he could find other means to get slots for himself. So the 2 slots for each constituency, the way it was distributed was that the constituency secretary had 1 and he gave it to him, and Samba took 1, and he thinks that since the organizer's son had the slot, that was the slot Samba took and gave to his constituency. But he went to other places and got a slot which he gave to his son. But across the country, 2 slots, fire service for every constituency.
I see.
That is the evidence of the claim that the minority leader led the minority to make this week. If anybody is in doubt, this is evidence enough that only a couple of months ago, the constituency chairman of the New Patriotic Party in the Tamale South constituency spoke about the slots that they were given. And if you know how parties work, Sana, I say that some of the problems we face as a country is the level of dishonesty at every level. If you know how parties work, the 30 slots can be given from the ministry. But between the ministry to the party headquarters, to the regional headquarters, to the constituency headquarters, it can reduce to 2 slots per constituency. And anybody who is into politics and understand how these, not this, but resources generally are shared, will know what I mean. In fact, they call it editing. A lot of editing can happen to the allocations before they get to the bottom. So the minority leader was not just blowing hot air. And Senna, maybe before the decision was made to play this tape for me to translate, I intended to start on a note, and I will seek your permission to still go back to the point I wanted to start from. You know, this week, and I'm starting from there because it's not part of the topics. This week, something very, 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 very serious has happened in court involving the Attorney General and Minister of Justice in the case involving the minority leader, Honorable Atufosu. It is a very, very, very dangerous thing that I pray that we do not sweep under the carpet. I pray that the people who matter, who care about this democracy and the rule of law and good governance will do everything possible for us to get to the bottom of this matter. The perversion of justice is the final blow that can be dealt this our democracy. Look, multi-party is the basis of every democracy. Multi-party is the basis of every democracy. But extreme partisanship corrodes democracy. It corrupts it like nothing else. And the Attorney General and Minister of Justice, by his conduct, by his words, by his deeds over the period, have demonstrated that level of extreme partisanship on many fronts. So much so that if this allegation against him is proven to be true, it will be in the interest of all lovers of democracy to distance him as far as possible from any political office. It is that excessive partisanship, Senna, that is putting our democracy at risk. It is the reason why we are having to even discuss the press conference that the minority leader held this week about the destruction that we are doing to our security service. Is that excessive partisanship that we are seeing displayed in almost every sphere of our lives. And so it is my hope that in the coming days we will pay attention to that allegation made by Mr. Jakpa in the witness box in court about how the Attorney General met him at odd hours, called him at odd times to persuade and if you like, coerce him to falsify testimony against the minority leader so he can secure a conviction. It shouldn't be taken lightly. So now that extreme partisanship is in the topic that you have presented for discussion. And if we do not deal with some of these things, we will continue that race to the bottom. Our democracy started quite well. It took a lot of toil, sweat, struggles, and it's actually a privilege for us to have the opportunity to sit with some of the people who led the struggle back in the day. I'm talking here about Ankwesi and others, to ensure that this democracy that we enjoy today was established. It took a lot of work. And that work, that sweat, the blood that was shed for this democracy to be established should not go in vain. But over the period, it seems that we have been in this hasty race to hit bottom with the democracy. Look, you can say I'm partisan, but it's a point I have made many times on different platforms, and I'm yet to hear a convincing counter. The NPP, the New Patriotic Party, began this race to the bottom in 2000 when they won the 2000 elections and started governance in 2001. And I'll give a few examples. Forget about my partisanship for a moment and tell me if the examples I will give are real or not. In our communities, in our various communities, we all knew who the contractors were. We all knew who the contractors were. We didn't have party contractors from 1992 to 2000. We didn't have party contractors. Everyone knew who did the road contracts or the drains or whatever construction had to be done. We knew them. I mean, in the northern region, for example, we had the Savannah construction, we had the Lidra construction, and Lidra, by the way, later became the vice president of President Kufuor. People didn't have any entitlements if they supported any political party. They just, out of the goodness of their heart, decided to either belong to CPP, to PNC, or NDC or NPP, or based on upbringing. They just chose parties that they wanted to support and work for. And that was it. No one supported the NDC in 96. And after the party won the 96 elections, he went around looking for auction cars. They didn't even know about them. Or went around looking for speed ramps to do. Or drains to dredge. Or weeds contract. No. All of that started after 2001, when even serial callers were allocated affordable houses and auction cars, and party contracts became the order of the day. People were given contracts, even if they didn't have a contract license, for them to look for others with the license to come and do and give them kickbacks. That's when many, I believe in the NDC, started thinking that they had been foolish. They had missed opportunities. And so government could be this sweet, could have such opportunities, supporting a party could afford you such. That's when many NDC people started thinking that way. And so, therefore, were you surprised? I'm talking about the race to the bottom. So once that race began, were you surprised that in 2009, Professor Mills, with all his good intentions, struggled to raise the bar after it had been so dropped to the bottom? He struggled. His party chastised him for denying them certain opportunities. Remember the Alex Segbefia and Co saga at the ports and auction cars, the struggle, who got it and who didn't get it, the attempts to put in measures to control it. So the appetite had been developed by watching what the MPP did from 2001 to 2008. And so it became difficult to contain the appetite of the NDC members after 2009. Professor Mills did his best. And I'll give you another example. He managed to against the wish of his party, allowed district chief executives to stay in power for, I think, 3 months after he won, because he thought there was a need for a smooth transition. Even though the NPP had chased almost every appointee of the NDC out of office in 2001. They didn't wait for handing over. They chased people out. Over 10 pickups. Seize cars. In fact, Professor Mills's wife, the late Professor Mills's wife, was put behind counterbar after they stormed his house to pick cars. But when he became president, God bless his soul, against the wishes of his party, he managed to tame the appetite to revenge and to take advantage like the MPP did. I mean, President Mahama took over and also tried to, stabilize the situation. You remember, even when he was doing his State of the Nation address, the evidence-based State of the Nation address, the people he pointed to as success stories based on his policy interventions, some of them were MPP chairpersons, because the message being sent was that, look, we are all Ghanaians, and if there are opportunities, we must all be given the level platform to access them. That was the message. I mean, yes, it wasn't pleasant for even some NDC members, because the MPP between 2001 to 2008 had mastered the winner-takes-all attitude. And so some members of the NDC didn't like the father-for-all concept. But Professor Mills and his prodigy, his mentee, President Mahama, held on. Yes, I mean, like I said, there were some... You cannot keep the goalposts thoroughly. You can only try, so they did try. And we thought that the one government that was going to take over from them would have also maintained that same effort. I mean, what do NDC young men and women tell their party leaders today? In fact, all of us. We will support you. But when you win and we come looking for jobs, don't be telling us that maths and English nonsense again. Because that was the order of the day under the previous NDC. And that is what I was saying. Trying to keep the goalposts. Trying to ensure that things are done right. And so you would have expected that the next MPP government, that's Nana Akufo-Addo and Dr. Bawumia, would have also made the same efforts to improve upon the situation. But no. They opened the floodgates. And this is what we have. And that is the challenge for the next NDC government. And that's why I say, the more we ignore these things without dealing with them, the faster we hasten our steps towards destruction as a democracy. Because when we destroy all the institutions, the only thing left to be destroyed will be the democracy. Security. I mean, we all thought that there were some positions in this country that were constitutionally protected, had immunity, and the barriers that one had to cross to touch people appointed to those offices were such that it is better you don't even try to cross those barriers. So, for example, when President Kufuor appointed the Chief Justice, Madam Georgina Wood, even though the NDC in opposition and later in government 2009 to 2016 was not comfortable with her, they did nothing about it. In fact, petitions upon petitions were sent for her removal. Those petitions were not acted on. the assumption or the perception that she was MPP or MPP bias was known to many NDC people, including its leadership. But she had constitutional immunity which was respected until she served her term. We thought same could happen with Bank of Ghana governor. We thought same could happen for the electoral commissioner. But the MPP took over and they have gone there. Now they have opened the floodgates. And so don't be surprised when you hear people in the NDC say, Jane Mensah will go. The precedent has been set. The precedent has been set. And it has been tolerated. So who are you to say, don't do it, if you also have the opportunity? Because it has been tolerated. So, like I said, you can think I'm being biased because I'm NDC. But these are things that have actually made it very difficult for the NDC, even with good intentions, to raise the bar whenever it takes over. Because an attempt to raise the bar, like in the case of the security, can you imagine, Senna? The opposition from within the NDC will face in 2025 when it attempts to streamline things. And we all know as citizens that it is in our interest that things are streamlined and opportunities are such that everyone will have an equal level playing field to access those opportunities. But we are witnesses to the corruption of the process in our time. And we are not even demonstrating against it. We are not even speaking up against it. In fact, we are looking for opportunities ourselves. So, this is about our national security. And it is being dashed to party secretaries' sons, organizers' daughters, chairman's sons. Well, maybe the next NDC government will have to create a balance before it begins to correct. Yeah. Because if you have flooded the police and the fire service with your sons and daughters, who, by the way, are also citizens and are entitled to the opportunity, and so it will be unfair to sack them. You can't even sack them. The law doesn't permit you to. But perhaps it will be fair for the NDC to also flood and create a 50-50. Yeah, so then we can all begin to talk correction. Because an attempt to do the right thing without creating that balance means the NDC loses favor with the people. Because then the perception is created as if the NDC doesn't like its own people. I have witnessed a situation where I was walking with a colleague member of parliament at the parliament car park. So I'm telling you this true story. Saw a lady approach. Said, oh, this girl is my former women organizer's daughter. She came to me looking for a job some time ago. The lady gets close. This colleague MP of mine asks her, hey, did you get the job you said you wanted? She says, no, she's still looking. Said, if you get immigration, will you go? She says, yes. Take this number, go and call the person and go and do medicals. Yeah. Life in front of me. That's how people are recruited. That's it. And that is why the NDC couldn't have chosen a better theme than Rescue Ghana. In every sphere of life, this country needs rescuing. The economic front, we need to be rescued. The country needs rescuing. The environmental front, the energy front, even the social front. We need to get our loins. At least for a moment, let me appeal to my brother. Let's diminish our differences. Yes, lawyer.
I don't have any differences.
No, you don't. We are united by the need for change.
Oh, okay, you mean that, okay.
But even within that unity for change, we may have different ways of pursuing that change. But my appeal to all lovers of democracy and patriots of this country is that we must diminish those differences for now. We must delimit our weaknesses, individual weaknesses and collective weaknesses, and get together to get this nation wreckers out of office. And then we can begin to discuss among ourselves with good intentions how to bring this country back onto the road of growth. So the minority leader was spot on. The Interior Minister never denied that allocations have been given. I was shocked when he suggested that some minority, MPs or NDC people were also beneficiaries. Like, I was scandalized, to say the least, that was his defense. I was scandalized. First of all, as Interior Minister, I hope he understood the impact on his office of such a gaffe. Intelligence is conducted on intelligence. And intelligence is gathered. And it takes a lot of integrity and discernment for people to be able to trust you with intelligence. But that doesn't matter. Assuming without admitting that some NDC MPs or minority members or NDC people also benefited from those allocations. Is that even right? To use it as a defense? And I'm happy that the minority leader has challenged him to produce evidence. Produce evidence. It's like you are stealing and you are caught. And then you say, oh, I'm not the only one stealing. So what's the name? Senator is stealing. How does that exonerate you as a thief? We need to rescue this nation.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I'll do a few messages from our WhatsApp platform. This one says, just came in, Sweeney. These laws being given are not meant to help in manipulating the figures at the polling station. These are the security officers they want to use during the elections. Let us all be mindful to face such people squarely. He doesn't add a name. There is also this one's from Buhari, who says, good morning, Senator. Honorable Sweeney has said it all. That is the will of our sympathizers within the NDC. Buhari, thank you. This one says, I'm watching live from NKC, Upper West Region. What the NDC is saying about secret recruitment into the security forces is very, very true. Please go to the GRA. and as a group of workers called contract administrative assistants, and you'll be shocked how they have been suffering secret recruitment by the MPP since 2018. It continues, they will be there, and different people without any experience will be recruited to come and work as permanent staff. They are treated like they are from Afghanistan and that they are not Ghanaians. What is going on in GRA is very sad. So that's somebody sharing an experience within one of the institutions. Mr. J says, we the NDC don't help our grassroots members to secure jobs. So let's stop blaming the MPP for taking it upon themselves to help their members. I have never voted for MPP since 1992 when I was in secondary school, but I support MPP to help their people. Because NDC, you will not help. That's Mr. J's statement, comments that he sent to us. There's also this one, which says, the allegations leveled by the NDC on the recruitment of MPP vigilantes into security services is very true. And every Ghanaian should rise up and fight against this illegal recruitment. A military man who is a member of the MPP openly told me this before, that, according to him, I told you we are breaking the 8. He said, quote, the MPP government is about to do a massive security service recruitment before December elections and send them to camp and let them vote for MPP and warn them if they won't vote for MPP, all of them will lose their jobs. End quote. Says, I think the MPP leadership, led by Nanado, has politicized every sensitive institution in Ghana. Nana is a curse to Ghana. He calls himself a social democrat. This one says, the man representing the movement of change has spoken well. Ghanaians need a change for a change to come. For a change to come, the smaller parties should forge an alliance with the National Democratic Congress since they have the majority in parliament. For example, what happened in the last Nigerian election? If the smaller parties were able to join the main opposition party, they could have won the elections. Ghanaians should learn something from that. Alphonse Kwame sent that one. Alphonse, thank you for that message. King James from Saboba says, they are trying to cover up by saying they are doing backlog. They are busy registering young girls and women in Saboba, saying that they are going to give them sewing machines, hairdressing machines, carpentry tools, and whatnot. Can you imagine that you enter to register, they ask you which party do you belong to before they can register you? But what is interesting is that they call themselves an NGO. So think for yourself what that NGO is. Thank you. And this one says, good morning, Pan-African TV. The first speaker was saying MPP should be out for Mr. Allen. I'm sorry to say, that's not possible. There's no difference between Mr. Ado, Bawumia, and Allen. Ghanaians want all this set of politicians out of leadership. Okay. Okay. Thank you very much for the message. Says, Sana, why is it that anything this MPP administration touches doesn't work genuinely? Sana, I'm struggling to get my daughter into police service. Please ask my honorable MP if he can help me. I voted for NDC. I don't know whether I was supposed to read this, but good. When you send me, please, if you don't want me to read something out, don't send it. This is not a secret platform. This is not mine. This is not mine. Yes. Yes. In fact, I was going to.
He wants this to be.
Yes. So please, if you're sending a message to the WhatsApp number 05999 055-991-9802, know that it will be read. Know that it to be read. So this is okay. First, Jibril Agbesi Amenu says, Mr. Pierre Dankwa should cool down. Alan K had a golden opportunity to stand out. He sat and participated in ruining our country. I would have given Alan K mind if he resigned from the MPP pre-2020 election. This style of ending every submission with Alan K, that is all do about nothing. He is a member of the movement of change. There's Martin Kwame said, who says the MPP administration led by Akufo-Addo and Bawumia is the most grievous mistake Ghanaians have ever made. We queued in the sun and gave you employment, and instead of making life a bit comfortable for us and treat all of us equally, this wicked government has rather rendered us in abject squalor. God, we are sorry. Please forgive us our mistake. Then this is Jojo Shumbuafo. I concur with my brother Honorable Alasan Suini. Pandora's box has indeed been opened. We can't find Pandora anymore. And to be frank, we don't want to know. She's gone. Let her stay gone. Woe is he or she in the moral society whose handling fine voice when the NDC comes to office and will seek to put Pandora back into the box. Let the box sit as a relic and a monument to a time in history of this country whose time should never have come. Let them stay on mute. That's Mr. Kojo Chungwafo. Before I come to Mr. Pratt, this one just came in from... Okay, there's boss. Good morning, boss. There's Reverend George J.P. Gabra from Fo. Says, kindly tell us that... okay. That's why I said, please don't send these messages. This one says, yes, indeed. The next government will definitely have to balance the situation before making plans ahead to correct whatever. Mr. Pratt.
Well, all of this started with the allegations which were made by the minority in Parliament. And the allegations simply said that the New Patriotic Party was assigning 30 places in some of the security services for their MPs, their parliamentary candidates. Now, since then, there have been at least 3 or 4 reactions to the allegations. Now, all of the reactions contradict each other. And therefore, we can only come to the conclusion that somebody must be lying, and must be lying big time. The first reaction which came from government was that the allegation was not true, that no allocations have been made to MPP parliamentary candidates. That was the first reaction. Then there was another reaction which said, oh, we are only doing this to clear the backlog. Okay. And then there was a third reaction which said, yes, we've made allocations, but even some of the minority members of Parliament and others have benefited from it. Okay. Then there was another reaction which says that, look, we are only being fair to all the people who had applied earlier to join the security service, and that is in sync with the second reaction, you understand? Now let us examine these reactions. You cannot say the allegation is not true and still claim that you even made allocations to some opposition elements. As if the allegation is not true, it means that no allocations have been made. But to say that some opposition elements have also benefited from the allocations is to confirm the allegation. Now, the issue of backlog and so on is absolutely ridiculous. Okay. And it's ridiculous to the extent that there are qualifications for enlistment into the security services. And for one of our callers, of our texters, has actually explained that. One of the qualifications for enlistment is age. So if there's a backlog scanning a period of 8 years, it means that those people who initially applied 8 years ago are not qualified to join the security services. And that's a huge, problem. So that backlog argument simply collapses. Now, why are we concerned about the allegation that the government is recruiting its own people into the security services? Why are we concerned? Why should there be a concern? One, over the years, it has been established that some of the persons who have entered the security services have entered the security services mainly as a means of securing some advantages to commit crime. Criminal dens are being established within the security services, and that is a matter of worry. One, I recall, for example, that in one of the international conferences we organized in Accra, some policemen and some state protocol personnel actually use state protocol vehicles assigned to visiting dignitaries to commit armed robbery. I hope you remember this. Okay. Now, when the matter was investigated, it turned out that those police officers were what was then referred to as party police. Persons who had been recruited because they were members of political parties. And I remember this vividly. Then there was another case which gained public attention of a gang of thieves, robbers, who had actually managed to enter the police training academy, had been trained in weapons handling and so on, and their main purpose was to establish gangs, to rob citizens and so on. Okay. Now, if you have security services within which gangs of robbers establish themselves and so on, it defeats, first and foremost, the purpose of establishing those agencies and puts citizens at risk. This is dangerous. Now, the other thing too is that today, I mean, if you contact people in all the security services, allegiance to political groups, political parties, and so on, it's open in the security establishments. So, for example, if you go into the armed forces, the soldiers themselves know who is NPP, who is NDC, and so on. This polarization of the security services is dangerous for the maintenance of national security. You understand? If you have a security service in which people know who is affiliated to what party and so on, and they discuss that openly and so on, it is exceedingly frightening, because it can lead to the collapse of these security services. And in cases of national emergency, it becomes absolutely difficult to mobilize the security forces as single units with a clear purpose of saving the nation. It is dangerous, should not be encouraged. It is not healthy, for us. Now, this discussion is important for many reasons. Okay, many reasons. And Sana, one of the things that worries me very deeply is the fact that over the years, over the last couple of years, we've also come to see cases of persons being recruited in the security services who are not qualified. Only recently, something made the rounds, and I'm sure that all of you are clearly aware of it, about persons who have been recruited into the military, whose age appear to be way above the limit. Now that brings into question why there's an age criteria. And I would think that there's an age criteria simply because all of us, our bodies, our organs and so on, cannot function at the same level as we grow older. And for example, if you're in the police service, you need a certain level of agility to be able to perform the function of arrest and so on, restraining people and so on. So if you are recruiting persons who are unfit to be in the security services, it means that when armed robbers strike and you call the police, the persons who will be given the responsibility to protect you would physically be unable to do so. Because the age has been varied, because their physical fitness has not been taken into consideration, and so many things. It simply means that we are recruiting people into the services who cannot perform their duties. Now, just ponder over the fact that we are recruiting persons into the fire service who may not be qualified. Just think about a fire outbreak anywhere. You understand? And the people who are being dispatched to quench the fire are mentally, physically disabled to carry out that duty. What would happen to our country? Just imagine that as we sit here, and there's intelligence reports to support that, we are under the threat of terrorist attacks and invasion. Just imagine that the people who will be trained to combat terrorism are physically incapable, are mentally incapable, and academically incapable. What would happen to our country? This is the worry. This is why there's so much talk about this recruitment, you understand? Now, apart from these things about incapacity to perform duties which would be assigned to them and so on, there's also the issue of the complete bastardization of national politics. And on this program, we have received messages from those who are listening to us, which are exceedingly worrying. There's one guy who sent a message to us just this morning on this platform and says, look, I support the NPP for helping their members, and I'm disgusted with the NDC for not helping their members. What is he saying? He's saying that citizens don't have the same right to employment. That's what he's saying. And he wants to have a situation where Ghanaian citizens are not equal. That citizens who join political parties have more privileges than citizens who do not join political parties. And this is clearly an affront to the 1992 Constitution. This is clearly an affront to all norms of decency. You understand? Why should we build a society in which those who elect to join the NDC or the NPP have special, what do I say? They are special privileges as against those who want to be regular citizens, who want to pay their taxes, who want to work for improving the society and so on, without allegiance to political formations. This is frightening. It is really, really, really frightening. Is this the kind of society we want to build? Now, there's something else which is important. If indeed it is true, if indeed it is true, and I have no reason to doubt that it is true, given even the clip that you played on this very program, confessions by party apparatchiks that they have also received slots and so on, I have no reason to doubt that the allegations are not mere allegations, but they are grounded. Okay. But if these allegations are true, and they are indeed grounded, what does it tell us about the fairness of these security agencies? What does it tell us about fairness of these security agencies? There have been cases of malicious prosecution in our country. Now, how does that happen? You can have cases of malicious prosecution if the agencies responsible for investigation and prosecution are compromised. If they refuse to look at the facts and begin to look at party colors and who has a party card and who doesn't have a party card, you would have many incidents of malicious prosecution. The abuse of the apparatus of the state in order to silence critics. So it is directly linked to the freedom of expression. It is directly linked to the freedom of association. It's directly linked with many of the freedoms which our Constitution guarantees for us. If the security services are this polarized, if the security services are controlled by political parties and so on, it means that we cannot enjoy our fundamental rights. And that must be worrying for everybody, even those in the New Patriotic Party, who today may be thinking that this arrangement gives them advantages. And they must be worried, okay, for many reasons. And one of the reasons simply being that there is no way of guaranteeing that any political party will be in power forever. So if you enjoy that privilege today, what about tomorrow when we are no longer in power? Would you not become a victim of the abuses that we have claimed that many people have abused? So it doesn't matter what political party you belong to. We have a responsibility to safeguard, our freedoms, the enjoyment of our freedoms, and so on. But there's something which is even more serious, which, as far as I'm concerned, is the most serious indication. My brother, these recruitments cannot be privatized and handled the way they are being handled without collusion from the leadership of the security organizations. No political party can monopolize recruitment into the police service, the armed forces, the fire service, and whatever exists if there's no collusion with the leadership of the security services. So, right now, as we are discussing these matters, how is this scam being organized? Who in the Ghana Police Service is facilitating the scam? Who in the Ghana Armed Forces has decided that is going to work with a political party or political parties to ensure that only their members are recruited into the armed forces? Who is sitting at the fire service who is facilitating this scam? This is a very important question. And this immediately brings into question the independence of these security services. Not just the independence of these security services, but the loyalty of the officers of the security services. Are they loyal to Ghana, or they are loyal to the New Patriotic Party? And if they are loyal to the New Patriotic Party, how can they perform their function of being defenders of Ghana and not defenders of individuals, political parties, and cliques? This is a major issue. Major issue. You can't run away from it. If this scam is being perpetrated, then it means the heads of the security services have no independence. Then it means the heads of the security forces are colluding with the New Patriotic Party. And if they are colluding with the New Patriotic Party on filling vacancies and so on in the security services, where would that collusion end? We should be worried about the 2024 elections also. Because if heads of the security services are deliberately and to some extent even openly acting for a political party or political parties, what will they do when elections are rigged? Will they facilitate the rigging of elections? Perhaps, if we take a few steps back into history, we may find answers to some of these questions. About 2 years ago, I was invited to a very solemn ceremony to remember the victims of the Ayawaso West Wagon mayhem. was invited as one of the speakers to that solemn ceremony. And so, what I saw was painful. I saw people who would never be able to walk again. Never be able to walk again. I saw people with wounds which would never heal again. I saw people who would never be able to work. At first I spoke about walk, but work again. People who have been disabled for life. Okay? Now, it's important to make reference to the report of the ENLISMENT Commission. A commission of inquiry which was not established by me, it was not established by the National Democratic Congress, it was established by the sitting president, who was the presidential candidate of the New Patriotic Party. And indeed, members of the commission included a sitting Supreme Court judge and so on, appointed also by the sitting president and so on. And the ENLISMENT Commission made it clear that there were security abuses. You understand? The security services were as it were, used in the perpetrating of these crimes against some of our people and so on. During the proceedings of the commission, at least there was some evidence to the extent that somebody who was working for national security had been recruited from the Kwame Nkrumah circle. And this person was actually selling phones, second-hand phones, when he was recruited, and he didn't go through any process. Check the report, check the proceedings, and so on. Now, doesn't that frighten you? In the last elections, 8 innocent Ghanaians were killed. 8 innocent Ghanaians were killed. By persons believed to be in the security services or associated with the security services. It's frightening. Really frightening. It's an attack on the limited democracy that we have today. This democracy we have has many defects and so on. But for whatever it is, I've heard people say that it is still better than another form of government. There's a dispute about that, but I'm not going to go into that dispute. You understand? But this is a major problem for the exercise of the democratic rights of citizens if security services can be so misused. You understand? Now, I've seen some of the footage on the Ewaso West Wogon mayhem, and you see the vehicles which were used in launching the attacks on innocent citizens. And those vehicles were obviously security vehicles. And in fact, the attackers came in prescribed uniforms of national security establishments and so on. Okay, I'm deeply worried by this. But you see, more than that, there are many other signs that we are seeing which indicate in the clearest possible terms that all state institutions are being bastardized to the advantage, to the disadvantage of citizens. And I mean no words. In the MPP primaries in Yendi, I saw a video of an EC official publicly admitting that he is an NPP member or sympathizer, and that because of the rules, he is unable to sing NPP party songs. I'm sure all of you saw it. Now, if that doesn't frighten you, what will frighten you? EC official publicly admitting. You put that aside. Everybody in Ghana knows, as a fact, that there's an electoral commissioner who is a card-bearing member of the New Patriotic Party. Everybody knows that as a fact. All of us who watch television have seen this gentleman, you know, actually sitting on radio and proclaiming that he will do everything possible to make sure that the NDC does not come to power. And he's a commissioner, electoral commissioner. Should I say more? And we are tolerating that. 6 months to an election, we know there's a card-bearing member of a political party sitting on the Electoral Commission who is swearing that he will do everything possible to make sure that some political party does not come to power. And we are tolerating that. Presidential candidates are going out there campaigning, spending the little resources they have, mobilizing people and so on. You are wasting your time, man. You are wasting your time. If party card-bearing members are commissioners, why are you campaigning? Campaigning to do what? Win what election? The playing field needs to be leveled for all these campaigns to make sense. Because with this kind of situation, it may take a miracle for some parties, some candidates to win elections. So it's not only the security services, even the Electoral Commission itself is under attack. And there are people who say that, oh, you win elections at the polling station, and that it doesn't matter who are the commissioners, and so on. I think that's a bloody lie. It's a lie which we should not countenance at all. You see the recent or ongoing registration of voters exercise. There have been so many petty errors which should frighten us. So, registration exercise, what is involved in assuring the accuracy of figures? Nothing complicated. You understand? Even 5-year-olds can accomplish that. We register one by one. No be so. You don't register 20 at a time, one at a time. So you are only adding once. The first person to register is 1. If you add the second person to the 1, you get 2. If you add the third person, you get 3. That's how you build up the numbers, adding ones. And this very simple exercise led to serious errors. Serious errors. Are you not frightened? You have an electoral commission which cannot simply add once. Are you not worried? And don't forget that the last election, results were declared 3 times. Some say 4. But let's assume 3 times. Because of what they claimed were errors in addition. And in fact, even the mode of declaring those results were questionable. In one instance, results were corrected by something which had been typed on a piece of paper without signature. And we accepted that those are valid results. So sometimes the problem is not those who perpetrate evil, those who skew things, those who play with our mandate, those who subvert the national constitution. Sometimes the problem is not with them. The problem is with us all who refuse to resist this outrage. Because if you refuse to resist the outrage, it will be perpetrated against you. And we are not resisting. We are acquiescing. We are accepting the status quo. That's our problem. The minority has made a call for investigations into these allegations. Who is backing those calls? Who is taking steps to make sure that the call is not just contained in a press statement, but becomes a live subject embraced by the population, which together is pushing for some resolution of the matter? That is where we are. We, the citizens, are failing ourselves. We, the citizens, are not taking actions which will compel those in authority to do our will and to do the right things. It's a citizen's failure. We are failing as citizens. We are failing ourselves. We are failing the Constitution, and we are failing our nation. We are not resisting enough. You see, when this issue of appointments to the Electoral Commission came up, I was amazed. What did the NDC do? They wrote nice English on a piece of paper and sent it to the Council of State. And they thought that the Council of State would resolve the matter. You are joking. You are joking. These matters are not resolved that way. They are not resolved by writing beautiful English and submitting to the Council of State. They are not resolved by complaining to the Peace Council. These issues are resolved by mobilizing citizens to say, no, we would not accept this nonsense. That is how you resolve these matters. But some of the leaders in some of the political parties, sometimes you listen to them and you watch them and you begin to ask yourself, what are they up to? Why are they wasting our time? You have a commissioner of the Electoral Commission make a public statement that one particular political party is a danger to the democratic experiment. And he's still sitting there as commissioner, has sat there for more than 2 years. In any other civilized country, the moment he made that statement, the next day he will resign. But in Ghana, you can make this statement and stay there as electoral commissioner, actually participate in organizing the SNNIT by-election, participate in organizing the judicial election, and ready yourself to organize the 2024 elections, even though you say that one particular political party is a danger. Can you believe this? Can you believe that this is happening in Ghana? We, the citizens, as for us, we have failed ourselves. We are not mobilizing, we are not challenging things and so on. But the political parties are also failing. They are failing themselves and they are failing their followers. All of us are failing, and I feel ashamed that we've come to this level. I really feel ashamed that this is where we are. If they get away with packing the security services, which other institution would they not pack? CROSAC. CROSAC, is that what they're? CROSAC. A couple of years ago, made a very interesting allegation. Yes, they are there. Their members are in the public and civil services and so on. They can no longer function because party apparatchiks have been recruited to take over their roles. And CROSAC complained bitterly. What has happened? Nobody bothered with them. Nobody cares about what CROSAC says. The civil service and public service have strict rules for engaging personnel. Those rules have been thrown to the dogs. People have being picked from anywhere and everywhere, not everywhere, anywhere, and particular places to fill these positions, and there's a danger to us. Can you believe that when Ken Oforiatta presented his last budget, civil servants mobilized to give him a welcome at his ministry? What an aberration. Unbelievable. Civil servants lined up the streets to welcome him because he had presented a budget he did not write, a budget which was authored by the IMF. And all of us know what IMF packages are and their impact on our society. Unbelievable. But you see, if we refuse to speak, if we refuse to protest, we have no right to complain. If we refuse to protest, to speak out and so on, it means that we have accepted what is happening and we should bear the consequences. My brother, we should bear the consequences when we refuse to speak and talk. I heard Mr. Atufosin challenge the Interior Minister to bring proof that people in the minority have also been allocated spaces. So if he brings proof, what? I don't care whether people in the minority have also been given places or not. That is not the issue. The issue is that nobody should be given places and that people should be able to compete on their merit for employment into the security services. So whether or not the minority got 20, 50, 70 and so on is immaterial. It's not part of the discussion. The discussion is that there are privileged people who, by their position in society, by their position in political parties, minority, majority and so on, are getting recruitment into the security services to the disadvantage of perhaps more qualified persons. So it doesn't matter whether the minority had 200 or 2,000 and so on. It's not an issue. And whether or not the Interior Minister is able to bring proof or not is not an issue. The issue is that this must be aborted quickly. And that we must revert to the times and practices where recruitment into the security services was done on merit. You see, recently, there was a plot to remove the Inspector General of Police. It is still fresh in my mind. And I know that it is still fresh in everybody's mind. Now, I'm sitting here and wondering, where is the report of that committee? Have you seen the report? Have you seen the report of that committee that Parliament established?
They are the members of Parliament. They will see it before us.
Yeah, but isn't it ridiculous that you have 7 police officers publicly admitting that their allegiance is with the ruling party and that they are ready to help the ruling party win elections? 7 senior officers of the police make these public admissions before a parliamentary committee that me, all my life, my whole family is Dankwa Buzia. And there's nothing wrong with proclaiming that. We are 6 months to an election. And the parliamentary committee's report is missing. We can't find it. It's nowhere. Are you not frightened? Are you not frightened? Are you not frightened that we are living in a republic where 7 police officers can actually admit that we're plotting to remove the IGP because he's too independent? If he's there, my party is not likely to win an election. Are you not frightened by that? Are we not worried that that report is still missing? We don't have that report. What is delaying that report? Why is the issue being buried under the carpet? And in fact, my brother, why is the minority telling us about recruitment into the police service? When this committee's report could have helped all of us to put our foot down, could have shed light on some of the happenings in the police service. In the police service. Why? Why are they not forcing? They're in Parliament. Why are they not forcing for the release of that report? And for that issue to be concluded finally. Why are they not? Now, if you are not insisting that that report should be released as quickly as possible for action to be taken, why are you telling us about recruitment into the police service? Why? Why are you wasting our time? So these are very serious matters, and I'm hoping that our discussion today would contribute in small measure. Who are we, the three of us here? The only big man around here is Suhini. He is the honorable member of parliament.
Issue.
The rest of us are ordinary mortals. Ordinary citizens. But perhaps if we combine like Captain Planet, we may be able, if we combine our forces like Captain Planet, or is that Captain Planet? Yes, I think so. We may be able to bring about, to create some effect. Because otherwise, all these discussions, they are useless. Come and talk, and go home, nothing happens. But I'm going to make a special appeal. You see, right now, if you look at Ghana, there are so many retired, prominent citizens of this country who have served in the security services and who devoted their entire life to building the security services, building security services of integrity. Why are they silent? Why are they silent? Those security chiefs, why are they silent? As it is here. My own friend Kudalo, former Inspector General of Police, is he happy with what is happening in the police service? Why is his mouth sealed? Why is he not able to talk, to tell us what the standards should be and so on? IGP Al-Hassan, where is he? Kofi Buachi, Commissioner of Police Kofi Buachi, where is he? Is he missing? Is he happy with what is happening in the police service? Are they no longer citizens of Ghana? Can they talk? My classmate, General Michu, where is he? General Michu was my classmate in Sakasaka Primary School. Where is he? Why is he silent? Why can't he talk? Why can't he open his mouth? General Blay, CDS, where is he? Can these people tell us the standard which is expected in the security services that they help to build? There's another one. My very good friend from Winneba, what is his name? He became CDS. What is his name? Oh my goodness. General Nunu Mensa, where are you? Yeah. All of these retired generals and inspector generals of police and security capos and so on, where are they? Can they come together? Can they come together? I'm not saying that they should go and plot a coup. No, that's not what I'm talking about. They should come together and review the situation in the security services and give us answers, point to a direction, and warn us about the dangers inherent in politicizing the security services. Where are all these people? Why are they hiding? Why have they sealed their mouths? I'm embarrassed by their silence. And some of them are great people who contributed tremendously to improve the services that they had. Take somebody like IGP Al-Hassan. The concept of visibility, making the police visible everywhere and so on, he implemented it with gusto. He helped us to reduce the incidence of armed robbery and so on. Why is he quiet and hiding today? Why is he? It is up to them. If this country should sink, we will sink with all of them together. If there's mayhem in this country, they cannot escape. Their children will suffer some. Their wives will suffer some. Their grandchildren will suffer some. They should take it as a duty to themselves to help us effect these changes. They should take it as a duty to themselves and to their country to speak out, to point in the right direction. I am disgusted by their silence.
Thank you. Thank you very, very much. I'll do a few messages from YouTube. Some of the comments you're sending to us via YouTube. YouTube has the biggest viewership on social media nowadays. This one says, okay, Ghana is suffering from intellectual leadership commitments. That's Francis Gordon. There's Wasawa says this Alan guy should give us a break. What did his boss do with Commander Sugar Factory under his ministry? Absolutely nothing. Koma sugarcane he couldn't grow for 7 good years.
Today, the Ghana we are in, is that the issue? Is it about what Alan did and didn't do? Is it about what John Muhammad did and didn't do? Yeah. The issue is that this country is sinking. And all of us, in spite of what we may have done or have done in the past, need to unite to rescue this country from further collapse. This is not the time to divide us further. If all of us claim that we want to build a new and prosperous Ghana, let us work together. Whether it is Alan or John Mahama or whatever, this is the time to work together and close ranks to rescue this country. Stop that.
Well, I read some of the comments. This one says, Ben Asemenu says, that's the NDC's problem, being too good. This one also says, I think the NDC must wake up. They must stop granting interviews and concentrate on the campaign. Charles Odro says, the NDC is being too slow. I think the press conference is too much. Medicine Man says, as far as I'm concerned, Ghana needs a reset through a revolution. The lawlessness in Ghana is mind-boggling. So those are some of the comments you're sending to us via WhatsApp. I will do this one. Okay, this one is quite lengthy. This one says, if democracy will collapse in Ghana, it is MPP. We never knew the word proceed on leave until 2001. MPP party boys sacking people from their workplaces, locking up offices. When Atamos took over, he said he was a father for all. Nobody was sacked. JM came and continued. Nobody was sacked. What did we see when this MPP government came? Nana Addo and Bawumia sacked many people. Now, if you're not MPP man, no job for you. Before you were given a job, you have to pay 12,000 Ghana cedis. That's a specific amount. It says if you're not an MPP member, you will not be upgraded or promoted in your company, etc., etc. We're in serious trouble. Ghana is bleeding. May the good Lord save Ghana from this corrupt, inept family and friends government. The banking sector cleanup exercise. It continues. I was a customer with Gold Coast Security. Up to date, our monies have not been paid to us. Well, he continues. The message has not ended, but thank you very much for sending that message. This one is good one. I must say what annoys me is the EC committing serious errors, and when they are notified, they admit and say the errors are insignificant. Again, they should know that if the bullets will hit their offices before us, that's coming from them. Is it Seidu John Paul says, please say hello to Honorable Suwini. It is glaringly apparent that even a newborn today could discern the political affiliation of the Electoral Commission's chair, Madam Jean Mensah. Her repeated pronouncement and multiple result declarations have exposed her inadequacies and incompetence in managing her office. In a serious nation with vigilant opposition parties, she would have been replaced from her position by now. Ghana deserves better. That's coming from Seidu John Paul, who sends that one. This one says, good morning, sir. NDC's timidity is killing us too much. The grassroots is boiling, but the top is frozen. He doesn't add his name. So Nanado has come to fulfill their dictatorship agenda, and he's executing it perfectly. But they should know we were silent until Rawlings rose. BB sent that from Accra. Some more. Let me see how many more. This says Uncle Kwesi Pratt, the security couples you just mentioned perhaps want to speak, but for fear of victimization. Sending this from Aguna Kwanyako, they are on retirement. This is Sadek who sent all this. If they cannot talk, then what about those who are in active service? This one says, okay, says Kwesi should talk about BNI too. Bad leadership. Intelligence institutions are bad. Well, there's this one says the backdoor recruitment into the Ghanaian security services by successive government is an open secret. Such recruitments have been massive, most regrettably, each time the MPP assumes the reins of power and when they are about to lose power. They are ruthless in their determination to capture or tribalize not only the security forces but also independent national institutions of substance, and we are all sheepishly looking on. All hail the monarch. God bless Ghana. Comrade Steve Agor sent that one. So there are many comments, many more comments you have sent, but we have to move on to the next discussion, which has to do with, we have about 30 minutes, which has to do with the sale of high-profile SNNIT hotels to Rock City. I'll start this time around with Honorable Suhini on this topic. And Honorable, you have 10 minutes on that issue.
Okay, so let me just agree with Mr. Kwesi Pratt that I don't also subscribe to the assertion that elections are only won at polling stations. As important as that is, the people who decide the elections, in some cases, the outcome of the elections, in some cases, are also the electoral officers. And I'll give you a typical example with this registration exercise. For me, the decision by the Electoral Commission, led by its chairman, to centralize the registration at the various district offices is a rigging mechanism. Anybody who studies elections will tell you about suppression of votes. It's a rigging mechanism. It's a clear rigging mechanism that has been put in place to put impediments on the way of potential voters, because wherever there is change in an election, that change usually is largely influenced by first-time voters. You can check electoral, polls. Largely, every time there's a major change in a country, first-time voters contribute a chunk to that change. So if you are a government in power and you know the wind of change is blowing against you, it's in your interest to suppress the numbers, make it, more difficult for new voters to get onto the voter roll. And that is why that decision to centralize the registration at the district offices, knowing the difficult terrain that we live in as a country, for me, is a rigging mechanism. It's one of the things put in place. But as a party, we are doing everything within our limited resources to overcome those challenges. Senna, like I ended the last time, this country needs saving. And for me, sometimes it's not just the tax of saving the country, but the work ahead after we save this country. And that is why I get excited about the NDC's 24-hour economy policy, because the level of distraction is such that the next government cannot do things as usual. To bring this country back from the valley of destruction, we will need to do unusual things. And one of those unusual things is to promote work 24 hours, because there's really a lot of work for us to do given the level of destruction. So now many people, especially Muslims, are either preparing to perform Hajj this year, or they are preparing to send off their loved ones to perform Hajj. And you know how much they are supposed to pay? 75,000 Ghana cedis is the fare. 75,000 Ghana cedis. In the old currency, that's 750 million. 750 million old cedis. Almost a billion. And this is happening at a time we have a certain vice president who campaigned on the basis that he is Muslim, and he's still doing so. And so therefore he feels entitled to all Muslim votes. And yet, in 2016, under a Christian president, Muslim pilgrims were paying 11,900. So I can imagine the increase. 11,900. Not 15,000, not 20,000, not 30,000, not 40,000, not 50,000, not 60,000, 75,000 today. And for me, what is more worrying is that he has never even bothered to give us an explanation as our brother. So it is as if the focus is on using all of our citizens to get power and then use that power to serve themselves. The banking sector, financial sector, you can see has clearly been successfully captured thanks to the operations and mechanisms put in place by the former finance minister. Enterprise and others have dislodged all competitors. And they are doing all of this through the power that they seek from us. So the vice president can enjoy all the pegs in office as a Muslim vice president. But what affects Muslims doesn't concern him. At least just explain to us why we have to pay that much. Just say something. Just tell us what you have done. And we will decide whether what you have done is enough or not. But to just act like you don't care. But then when you are going for an election, you go to the regions and you gather Muslims alone. Because you don't want the Christian clergy to know what you are telling them. So you gather the Muslim clergy alone, quietly, and tout your Muslim credentials and establish your entitlement to their votes. And then hypocritically go and meet the Christian clergy and preach a different message to them. I hope that our clergymen are conscious to this game. Because if he has nothing to hide, why is he not meeting them together? In fact, in many of our regions, they even have common platforms that these different clergies meet. But he will use that, get the power, and his brothers. And I'm coming to Brian Achampong. I'm establishing how they use the power to serve themselves.
Yes. Notice that we have 10 minutes.
Yeah, yes, I'm coming there. I will wrap up on that. I'm coming there. So he gets the power, and you see the brothers' contracts, the Baomiers' contracts, all over the place. Without PPA approvals, in some cases, very fictitious, timelines, where the approvals and the sole source, fat contracts of the Baomiers. And now you have SML also to deal with. I mean, this government, wherever you look, there are scandals. Finally, the president has released the reports. No parliamentary approval, no board approvals. PPA denied them approvals, but they still found a way. And now look at this. Our pension money. Because SNNIT is supposed to assure you and I, who are actively working today, that in our old age when we are on retirement, the contributions that we are making will be available and would have been properly invested and dividends earned to support our needs in our old age. And look at how they are managing those investments. A hotel that is partially operating, is able to demonstrate more competence and capacity to acquire a hotel that is over 30 years old, 40 years old, and actually, making profits and paying dividends to government. Labadi Hotel. It's one of the oldest hotels in Ghana. And yet Rock City, at the time that it was bidding for this, had just partially opened. Though. They were not even operating fully at the time that they were bidding for this. I mean, how ridiculous. How is it that the state is unable to manage such a strategic asset, and an inexperienced Rock City is demonstrating its ability to manage it? And the person involved is a cabinet minister. And you listen to his explanations, and like the sheer audacity, the entitlement mentality makes them even miss the points that are made about conflict of interest and about unfair dealings. And Sana, you know why this is happening? Because I don't have time. You know why this is happening? This is happening because there's change in leadership at SNNIT. And that's why we are hearing about all this. Just SNNIT. And again, that is why it is important that we all, focus on what unites us more to rescue this country and see the true length of the frog. Because they say that when the frog dies, you see its true length. This is just change in leadership at SNNIT within the same government that is revealing all this and more. Do you know that there's also evidence that despite the fact that SNNIT has SNNIT hospitals across the country, they actually entered into a contract with an insurance company to be providing health insurance for SNNIT workers, when their workers could have just gone to the SNNIT hospitals to be treated, and the SNNIT reimburses those hospitals, because their hospitals are across the country. But they still saw the need to get a health insurance, a third party person, to be getting some percentage, and be providing health insurance. Then they had these affordable houses that they were made to complete. And I'm finishing on that note.
It's taking about 15 to 20 minutes.
Sorry. These affordable houses, do you know that they have also gone into a contract with a property company known as Icon Properties to sell those houses for them? SNNIT finished those houses, and they have an estate unit that was selling those houses, and nobody I know bought those houses from SNNIT on credit. You were given a percentage, you paid the percentage, and then they started working on documentation. Until you finished paying, you were not given a key. So how difficult is such a transaction to require a third party so that that person also get 13% or 15%? And who is burdened with that percentage? Is it SNNIT or the buyer?
Okay.
All these schemes created. Then go and look at the ownership of icon properties. Go and look at the ownership of premium insurance and equity insurance. All those who got these juicy pies. And then Brian also, with Rock City, took the hotels.
Okay.
State capture. Classical state capture.
Thank you. Thank you very much. La.
Well, I don't have even 10 minutes now, but I'll do my best. You see, for me, I think the easiest part of this Brian Champion's SNNIT issue is to talk about the seal and the fact that it's was a state company, and are we saying that a private company can do better at managing the state company as against the state? And I think that's the easier part. For me, the most important thing here is the lack of consideration, lack of respect, lack of fidelity towards the ethics of the public position. Yeah. Because you see, like I'm saying, we can have a discussion about all the. For me, the critical thing is the lack of a realization that when you are in public position, cabinet minister here, you get a picture, then there's a public trust created in you that demands certain ethical standards. And that if those standards were respected and adhered to, they wouldn't even be having this discussion. Then Brian Champon, by virtue of the fact that he's a cabinet minister, will not even attempt to engage in transactions of this nature. You understand? And it is symptomatic of the lack of proper leadership in our system. That leadership in Ghana finds no problem, or people who find themselves in the NPP think that they must defend this serious evidence of breakdown of proper leadership. Because when you even go further, beyond Brian Champon, you know, a certain valuation, purportedly some valuation was done on some of the properties of SNNIT. I think they valued it around $600,000. And the cost of the valuation was about $400,000. Now, who owns that valuation company? Yes, allegedly is owned by the husband of the EC chair. Yeah, you understand? I'm saying that, see, all the issues we've discussed, the first issue, this issue, as in when you dig deeper, comes down to the same issue: lack of proper leadership. The fact that when people are in public office, they don't realize that there's a certain trust, a public trust is created in them. And that public trust demands a certain level of ethics, which includes conflict of interest, the fact that you must not use your position to make economic gain. Because there's a public trust. It's like I be a trustee over a property, basic trust, and I put myself in a position where I'm going to make economic gain from that position of trust that I've been placed. It's sad that we have just a small time. But what I'm going to say, you see, I spoke about accountability, and Uncle Kwesi took it to a different level. You understand? See, unless the citizens of Ghana realize that because we are repositories of sovereign power, then the first responsibility in ensuring that these people who are in leadership or people who hold certain positions because or by reason of this constitution, because we are the repository of those powers, that we must ensure that we place them on a proper standard. Because I said that, you see, those usually are conversations or consider borders on leadership in this country concerns rules, infrastructure. I'm saying really, if you're having proper leadership, they should be a matter of course. Those issues should be a matter of course. Now, where we're having debates, well, it should be on the ethos and principles of proper leadership. Because in any serious country, immediately you hold a public position. Brian Champa is the cabinet minister. The contracts that have been issued in relation to this SNNIT issue, as in the evaluation, was done by the husband of the chairperson of the AC. If we were in any serious country, if we were being led by a proper president, first of all, those, as in this transaction, wouldn't have in the first place. But once they've happened, people will be resigning, roles will be, heads will be rolling, because a fundamental obligation and duty that public leadership puts these people under has been breached. Has been breached. You understand? Now I want to quote scripture here. Matthew 6:33. It says, "But seek ye first the kingdom of God, and all these things shall be added unto you." But seek ye first. I know that we all have our individual agendas. All of us. Some people want to have 10 houses. Some people want to be able to take care of their children. People want to have proper health care. You understand? People want to have good roads. Accra, right now, people coming from the eastern part of Accra can't cross over because of the flooding issue at airports. People want to have the right to pursue their own happiness. But all the things I'm talking about are all these things. But all these things will happen if we get the proper leadership. Leadership that recognizes that once you're a leader, then you have been put into a public trust. That once you are a leader, you should not be seen to be using that position of trust to be making economic gain. That once you are in that leadership, then there's an ethical obligation on you not to put yourself in conflict of interest situations. Going to 2024, when we are going to vote into 2024, we should be guided by that principle. That everything starts with leadership. Everything. Especially in the kind of constitution that we place upon ourselves. Everything boils down on leadership. That leadership isn't given by the party. That leadership is given by a human being that we vote for. Yeah, you understand? And that it is our obligation and duty as Ghanaians to interrogate the persons of the people who are putting themselves up in terms of their character, in terms of what their moral compass is, in terms of their vision, in terms of their appreciation of the obligation of public trust that will be placed upon them when they assume that position of leadership. You understand? And contrary to what some people are saying, I'm going to say it again, that in my view, the person who ticks all the boxes, not just in terms of how he's going to advance our economic agenda, but who understands that to be a leader comes with a certain public trust. And that public trust requires that you yourself do not put yourself in a position of public interest. That also that you are ready to come down heavy on the people you yourself appoint to help you when they've put themselves in a position of public trust. And that you give a leadership which will ensure that the moral compass, the moral fiber that holds our society together is not breached. That we forge a Ghana that is capable of rising again to be the black star of Africa. Thank you very much.
Thank you. And I'll read this message before Mr. Pratt comes in. In fact, I've seen many interesting messages this morning. This one says, Senna, tell Uncle Kwesi to calm down. All the people he's mentioning are fed up with your country, Ghana. Even her leadership so far is tired. The truth is that your country, Ghana, is really sinking, and like Sodom and Gomorrah, God is waiting to see how the fire will burn his own creation. And says, Uncle Kwesi, look for the video on the day Nana Akufo-Addo visited Rawlings, and he asked, Nana, if you become president, who's going to be free? Look for that video and counsel yourself about Ghana. Think of relocating now to the land where there are no minerals and leave the lithium, the gold, and what have you for the greedy MPP guys. Within 1 year, they will migrate to where you are. Try it. Forget, your countrymen will never change. That's a comment. Mr. Pratt.
What can be more sad than the last text message you read? People are giving up.
Yeah.
People are giving up. And that is sad. That, you know, sadder. Is there any word like sadder?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, that is, yeah, than what is actually happening. As I say, we don't have a lot of time. So I'm just going to stress matters of principle and ask a few questions, and I'll be done. First and foremost, the property which is being sold belongs to all the workers of Ghana, present and past, who contribute to SNNIT. You understand what I'm saying? So it is not up to a few people sitting on the board of SNNIT, or a few people sitting as management of SNNIT, to do as they like with that property. That property is not for them. They have only been contracted to work for the real owners of the property. And the real owners of the property are the millions of Ghanaian workers who continue to contribute to SNNIT and who have contributed to SNNIT before. So we need to understand that clearly. Okay. I'm just wondering, there is so much land in Ghana. Massa, just drive from here to Boku. See the lands which are not utilized, even in Accra and so on. How come that for some people, all they want are government lands? Because there's so much land that they can buy, they don't buy it. They always want government land. How come? Why? There must be a reason. And the reason is that they take the government land for a song, virtually free. They pay peanuts for the land. That's why there's a clamor for government lands. Otherwise, if they just want to buy land and build houses, so much land, but they want the government one. Why? Brian Champo wants to have a chain of hotels. Nobody stops him. Why is he not building those chains of hotels himself? Why should he capture SNNIT hotels? Why? If it's not cheaper, if it's not being offered for a song and so on, would he be interested? Yeah. My brother, what is that hotel called? The hotel which is buying the SNNIT hotels? Rock City. Compare Rock City to La Palm Beach Hotel. Which of them has more experience in management? Look at the SNNIT structure. Look at the caliber of people who are managing SNNIT and are managing the assets of SNNIT and so on. Ask yourself, does Rock City has that level of competence and experience? And yet we are being told that a smaller entity with smaller resources, smaller managerial expertise and so on, is the one to make SNNIT hotels profitable. Does it make sense? Massa, does it make sense to you? So all these overqualified people that we have employed in SNNIT, all these overqualified people who are working in the trade unions, which are supposed to represent the interests of workers and so on, they cannot turn SNNIT hotels around. You need Rock City to come and turn SNNIT hotels around. Shocking. Absolutely shocking. Okay. Now, they say that they need a certain input in order to make SNNIT more viable and so on, 60% shares and so on. Are we saying that all of the SNNIT hotels have the same problem and need the same level of capitalization in order to be able to be revived. Why 60% for Labadi Beach Hotel, 60% for Ridge Royal, 60% for... Why? Because they're all distinct establishments with varying needs and varying requirements. So who fixed that 60%? If Ridge Royal needs 60%, maybe La Palm may not need 60%. Huh? But there's a going rate, 60% shares. Something is wrong. Just by looking at that, something is wrong. Because they are not the same, they are not at the same level of distress and so on. Something is wrong. Okay. Now, for me at this stage, I would like to give a very big salute to Honorable Samuel Okudzato Ablakwa. No matter what the outcome of his petition is, or will be, and so on, I think we need to salute Honorable Samuel Okudzato Ablakwa for simply raising the issues and drawing public attention and compelling us to look deeper. He deserves tons of commendation. I'm so proud of Honorable Samuel Okudzato Ablakwa. Even if his facts don't add up, the courage to stand up in this situation, in this national situation, and to raise these important matters is commendable. I hope we will get somewhere with the agitation which has already started. I'm impressed by the stand taken by the Trades Union Congress of Ghana under the leadership of Dr. Yauba. I heard CROSAC, the leadership of CROSAC, also make a very important, straightforward statement on this matter. And I want to hope that all of us will approach this issue from a position of principle and commitment to the building of our nation, Ghana. That's all I can say for now.
Thank you. And
you know what $96 million can do?
$96
million. I mean, Gracie was talking about why the fixation on government properties. I mean, in this transaction, we are told that he offered the highest capital expenditure investment of $96 million. $96 million can build a hotel that can compete with Labadi.
More than that.
Yeah. So why, if you have $96 million to invest in Labadi, why don't you just build your own?
I see. Thank you.
There's a reason why.
Because you will not invest that amount.
No. There's a reason why. Because if you look at the agreement,
yes.
The agreement is such that you pay a certain deposit.
Yes.
And run the organization to generate the other resources needed to top up.
Crazy.
Unless I'm mistaken. That's the agreement.
That's part of the arrangement.
You know,
I'm
you
just
are
saying
giving
that
the hotels out on the basis of work and pay. Yeah. It's a work and pay agreement.
And then you won't
I'm using that as one of the arguments that he makes that just don't add up. You don't use that as a reason why you are deserving of it. If you are saying, oh, I was the highest, I offered $96 million to invest, so then go build your own hotel with $96 million and compete with Labadi Beach Hotel. Why are you interested in the government one? That is because the arrangement is skewed for you to take advantage of. That is why you will want to go there. But I agree also that we need to commend our colleague Samuel Okudzato Ablakwa for raising this matter, and I pray that we will get to the bottom of it. And no matter the outcome, the public attention drawn to this is significant, and we must be doing more of such things. Like as citizens, I mean, I remember Dr. Twenedu always used to say that every country deserves the kind of government it gets. So it is your way, it's the way you behave as a people that will, let your government take you seriously or disrespect you as citizens.
Well, this is from Hadi Pikfam, who says, Nanado has called the bluff of the entire nation, being president for almost 8 years and protected by a constitution in and out of office, and as such an old age has nothing to lose. He still has support from some citizens. We have indeed lost, and he is the winner. I now understand that sometimes bad wins. That's life. It shall be well. Mother Ghana will move from this Nana Addo Bawumia government. That's coming from Hadi in Pig Farm. There's Masol Akpali who says Akufo-Addo and Bawumia, as well as their party members, have stolen so much, so they want to do anything and everything to plunge the country into chaos and then run away. But what they don't know is that even if they run away, what they are praying for to happen happens, their family members will suffer the consequences. That's coming from Maswell Akpabli. There are many comments you're sending to us this morning on this issue. And this one says, Senator, please, let's NIT leadership know they are holding the property in trust for contributors. And we are willing to volunteer our services to keep our investment running. We don't need any diversity in any way of our investment. And if you didn't get the message Mr. Pratt was talking about, it's not about SNNIT is not a company that generates money from elsewhere. It's my money. It's your money. The money, there's SNNIT contributions that sometimes your employers starve you for. They will tell you, wait, let me pay SNNIT contributions first, else we'll be in trouble. They go and pay those monies to SNNIT. These are some of the monies they use to build these properties and then run them to generate so that they will be able to pay you back. So when they do these things, they are doing it on your behalf. That's the message is putting across. So it's about you. Well, and I don't know why this week when I heard about Hopeson Adorye's arrest, and I was speaking to us and say false publication, my mind immediately came to, I don't know why my mind keeps coming to you. Whenever any issue that has to do with free speech, my mind, I always remember, I said false publication. I said, hey, I thought they said they had gotten rid of a criminal libel law. Was that criminalization of speech? That's what I heard. But I don't.
You see, there's a matter which is likely to go before court. And in fact, when we did the loss of libel and so on, one of the conditions that if it is clear that an issue would go before the court and so on, even then, you can be held liable for contempt. It is not just when the issue is before court, but if there is some certainty that the issue will go to court, you are still stopped from making prejudicial comments and so on. So I'm careful about what I say, you understand? But you see, my brother, watch the electoral cycle in this country. Anytime the New Patriotic Party is in power and we are getting close to election, the secessionist movement in the Volta region wakes up and starts doing things. How come that secessionist movement goes to sleep when there's no election and only wakes up when we are approaching elections? And if you think about it, how wrong can Hopeson Adorye be? You understand? Because when we're getting close to the last election, you saw what happened in the Volta region. Providing a pretext for security personnel to invade the region. Yeah, dynamite is one thing, may or may not have happened, I don't care. But clearly, there was a conscious effort to suppress votes in the Volta region. And as a fact, Hopeson Adorye was part of the effort to suppress votes in the Volta region, based on his own account. What are we doing?
Well, someone sent me, and I don't know whether this is true, but there's like one of the people who have gracefully benefited from the 30 slots, advertising for his constituents to bring eligible people. But there are names involved here. I don't know how true this is. But this is clearly like a call for bring anybody you know.
So in the absence of even the allocations, evidence of the allocations, don't you see the MPs and ministers who go to the graduation ceremonies share pictures of the people they have helped to graduate? It's all over social media. So you don't need the allocation evidence of that. Just go to their social media pages. You see them at graduation ceremony or either fire service or police standing with them and saying they helped them to get in. Those are the slots.
Well, a big thank you to Comrade Kwesi Prajinia, who is General Secretary of the Socialist Movement of Ghana. A lot more than that. But that's the current position he occupies. His focus is on, as much as possible, making sure we grasp the fact that socialism is what we need if we want to move Africa forward. That's what he's dedicated his time to nowadays. And also a big thank you to my big brother, Alasan Suhini. If you go to Tamale, they call him Asizi Power. He's member of parliament for Tamale North. And it's always a pleasure seeing lawyer Apia Dankwa. In fact, very popular name in my area. I never knew. Yes. It's interesting.
Apia Dankwa. What hits you is Apia Dankwa was a very prominent member of the CPP and so on.
So what are you doing?
I don't know how he ended up where he ended up.
So what are you doing? Maybe he's coming from
I remember the first time he came on the show and he disagreed with everything that was on the table. You know, typically when you have MPP supporters, this man came and criticized everything that was being said. That this man.
Because I'm a secretive member. I'm not a secretive member. I've been.
It's not because you are a
secretive. No.
That means you are a secretive.
No, I'm not a secretive member. And I'm an MPP member, but listen, I mean, there's no way I'll ever choose any political party over Ghana. It can't happen. Yes, and so where I felt MPP were going off the mark, especially in issues that would affect like the EC issue. I mean, which serious Ghanaian will support any move to undermine the integrity of the EC? Then that means that you are not, you don't love your. So for me, I think that should be the attitude of all Ghanaians. Yes, you have a party, but where your party is deviating from its core mandate, which is to advance activities that will project Ghana.
You are a strange MPP supporter.
No, I'm a Ghanaian. You shouldn't.
Because in the MPP, there's no difference between MPP and Ghana. I mean, the mindset is that MPP is Ghana. You know, so
well, now he's seeking revolutionary change. So he's a member of Alliance for Revolutionary Change, and they are led by Mr. Alan Chomanting. I'm Sena Numbo. The coming week, 28th May, we'll be celebrating the birthday of one of the members of my production team, Irabna Frimpong. We'll be celebrating a birthday on the 28th May. She's promised a big party. I don't know how big it is, so I can't invite you yet. So, a happy birthday in advance to Irabna Frimpong.
Irabna is promising a big party. Is that what you said? Yes. Irabna has promised a big party.
We're waiting for an invite.
Well, the production team is led by Tijani Badawasi, and of course the other member is Latifa Adam. And a big thank you to the director, Dion Hubert, as always. Emmanuel Osei in charge of sounds, and of course Shuben completes the team. Big thank you to the management here at Pan African TV, also live on Radio Gold 90.5 FM and many affiliate stations across the country. We are back same time next week with another edition of the show. Enjoy the rest of your weekend and have a fruitful week. We'll see you.
He has labored, he has suffered to lead his people into the land of freedom. He is the Redeemer. He has labored, he has suffered to lead his people into the land of freedom.